What do you think about MMA and the UFC?
Ah, I never really talked about that. Actually, I didn't really watch MMA and UFC until recent years. So
Okay.
when I was, well, it's not as huge as it is in the States compared to Japan. In Japan, in the old days, they had like Pride and
Mm-hmm.
K1.
Yep.
But when I was like in my when I was like 5'3", like I didn't know anything about it. It's like my dad would be like, go, go, go. But then I had no idea what was going on. And then I started doing karate, and that was like what 10 around 10 years ago. So the I guess the mixed martial arts trend has gone down in Japan. So not a
Mm-hmm.
lot of, before 30 years ago on New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, that would be the main show on TV. But then 10 years ago, it was nothing like that. Like it just
Ah,
faded away.
it
But then
really did.
recently, I don't know if you know him, but Tenshin Nasukawa, he's a kickboxer from Japan,
Don't
and
know.
Kyoji Horiguchi, he's in the USC right now as well, in Florida
Okay.
actually. Those athletes started to get mixed martial arts up again. So that's when I started watching it. And then now that I'm doing this channel, people always comment back to me on martial arts. So I started seeing it again. And
Mm-hmm.
my thought on it is I think it's so interesting how each athlete, they usually start off with just one martial art. And
Right.
then
A core.
it's
Yeah.
a core. And then somehow they find a way to integrate other martial arts. And you know, I always look at it from a perspective. Okay, I'm doing shotokan, so I always look at shotokan people, or I guess karate people,
Mm-hmm.
and see what they are adding on. That pretty much tells what shotokan is lacking in terms of the rules of MMA. So I think it's just one way to diversify your
Mm-hmm.
technique.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have any negative or positive thoughts. I just think it's just one way to widen up your skills. So that's
Right.
my
And
take on it.
I agree with that. I think I like, I mean, if you think about it, Jeet Kune Do was the first
Mm,
MMA. I mean, Bruce
mm,
Lee's concept for Jeet Kune Do was, to mix Chinese boxing and
right.
Wing Chun and wrestling and grappling. Uh, if
Mm-hmm.
you read if you read the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, you'll see that he does everything from put your face on the ground and kick you in the back of the head to,
Mm-hmm.
to dirty boxing and whatever it takes. And so that concept is not foreign to me. And
Mm,
then when the UFC first got started in the early '90s, I was a big fan. And then I kind of followed it, and it has gone through its cycle where first it was just like all kinds of stuff, but
right.
then the Gracie kind of era came,
Uh,
and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu kind of had its influence over the whole thing. But one of my favorite times and my favorite fighter is Lyoto Machida.
uh, Shotokan.
Shotokan, yeah. But I think he proved that karate striking can be very
Mm.
effective in,
Consecutive pop, 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 pop.
yeah, yeah. But and also the distancing, right? The
Right.
stance, the
That's
ranging. He
that's
showed
unique.
how people using Muay Thai or looking to wrestle can't touch him because
Mm.
he
So
stands so
evasive.
far away. And I loved watching. I still do. He still fights, so I still love to watch him. And I've met him several times. I don't know if you look around.
Oh.
There's pictures with me and him, but he. So for me, I'm not as big as a fan. Like you said, it has kind of trended
Mm.
down. I'll still watch it every now and then, but I don't think that everybody has to do everything.
Mm.
I think it is it. I think everyone who is interested in martial arts should master one first,
I
right?
heavily agree. I
Get
heavily agree.
get a black
Yes.
belt in something,
Yes,
teach it
yes,
to some
yes.
people, and
Mm.
then diversify.
Yes, yes.
Too many people diversify right off the bat, and they hold no ranking, uh, or they come out and they say they have black belt in 10 different things or whatever. But
I feel the same
I
way.
like the idea of a core. You have your
Mm.
core of Shotokan, my core is Kempo. and I teach it the traditional way. I haven't really changed it.
Right. Because if you're not like, if you don't have a core, there's nothing to compare it to. So you don't know what's right or wrong. You just pick up whatever that's in front of
Right.
you. And then you end up having this whole set of skills that you don't even know how to use. Like if you
Right.
have one core, you just adjustments that you're making.
Exactly.
So
But
I
not only
agree.
that, there's no reference point unless you're going to go into the cage. There's no reference for your MMA. You can't pressure test it, right? Unless you're rolling in the gym against someone who's using a similar makeup of various styles. But even then, and you're practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If you're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you're probably not doing that much striking. So you're not getting hit in the face, and and I can even remember Hoist Gracie saying he doesn't want to get hit. He would be here and he doesn't want to get hit. And so I think an important part of karate and sparring is getting hit, and knowing how to react to getting hit, and then and to continue to spar after getting hit, right? So I think it's an important component of it.
Oh, I never expected that question. Let me quickly share a little bit about my online group lesson. It is held on every Sunday, and I cover new topics every single week. The first week is provided for free, so why don't you give it a try? Okay, back to the video. Is MMA and UFC, like, do people think about that as like the top thing above all different like individual martial arts in the States? Is that how people think?
That's a good question. I don't know. I would say, just like you said, it went up and then it's coming back down. So I think so. I think it's not as popular as it was. It's still very popular. But just as a for instance, it used to be that I would pay for the big fights, and all my friends would. Now I don't pay for any of the fights because I don't really care that much. And none of my friends do. So if somebody wanted to go to this fight, nobody would have it.
I see.
And that's just my group or my my geography or whatever. But it seems to me to have found its home, and the people that do like it continue to like it. Yeah, but it's not like American football or something. Like that.
I see. In Japan, I think people, there's a pretty a huge distance between martial arts, Budo, and those mixed martial arts. Like you see on TV mixed martial arts a lot, but you don't see Budo, like karate, aikido, judo, and all those. I think people think of those as something different, like normal Japanese. If you do martial arts, if you do Budo, you know that some of the athletes, but I'm saying some, like 5% of those athletes would continue and go into mixed martial arts. But yeah, I feel like it's not as close like in the States, in Japan. So yeah, I think there's a slight cultural difference too, for how people see MMA and stuff. Yeah,
how big is it in comparison to sumo?
Well,
sumo is huge.
I think
right?
It's huge. The demographics are a lot different. I think the older generation, like my grandfather, would be watching sumo because it's on. I think sumo is on TV every day from like 4 p.m. to 6 or something.
Really?
Like I think it's not so late in the evening, or it's not so early. I think it starts at around 12 and it ends at like 6. So there's a huge time to watch it, and it starts off from the very how do you call it, like the first year, the very beginner sumo wrestlers, and then the yokozuna, the champions, would come at the end. So the TV would broadcast it from like 4, which would be the last 2 hours, and it's the older generation that watches sumo, and all those like mixed martial arts or for the younger audience. So I guess in numbers, if you're talking about like the total number of people supporting it, I would say maybe sumo is a lot bigger because because 1/3 of our population is over 65. So
I see.
we're very old
That makes
society.
sense.
So
That makes sense.
yeah, and you know, they after they retire from their job, they're at home, they have TV, they watch
Sumo.
Sumo. So so yeah, I think if you think about it that way, it's like that. And you know, you sometimes see sumo wrestlers after their retirement come into mixed martial arts, and but that's a very rare case. So I don't think the
Yeah.
younger audience would be watching
Mhm.
sumo as martial art or as like a fighting like
Sure.
show. Maybe once in a while you would go see sumo actually in Tokyo just for like an event, just for like,
Mhm.
you know, something fun to do. But it's not something so seen as like a fighting style.
Okay.
Sumo is sumo.
Right. It's its
different.
own thing. Yeah. Okay.
But then, you know, the technique is there. I think it's amazing. And
Yes.
they're big guys. So I would never want to. It's not going to be even a spar if I do something.
Yeah, I know.
They're just going to throw me to the side and
I'm the same
game
too.
over.
Yeah.
If you'd like to watch more videos of myself and Vidal talking about karate, martial arts, or anything in general, then please check this video out. And for other reaction videos of movies, check this one out. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check out my online group and private lessons from down here. I will see you guys in the next video.